Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is the Pregame Show Rewind right here on the Pregame Show Network. I'm Tolly Carr in Atlanta. Uncle Neely joining us in just a second. But in case you're wondering, new to the game, the Rewind, we just look back on headlines, things that had people talking and buzzing around Colorado football and the culture with Deion Sanders. So let's jump right into it. Here's our guy right here, Uncle Neely, still in Jack. This might be your last Jackson broadcast for a minute. Do I get that pleasure?
You totally have that pleasure, Tyler. This is summer's over. It is winding down. It is wound down. This is the last time that you and I be doing the rewind this season from the Jackson, Mississippi home studio. I'm headed to Boulder, baby.
All right, and once you get to Boulder, you got to lock in because there is a team meeting this weekend on Sunday. And the first practice, fall camp. College football starts on Monday. Neely, let's go to the team meeting on Sunday. If a freshman just came and said, Uncle Neely, I just want to make sure I got it right, man. Tell me the do's and don'ts of when I walk in that door on that team meeting on Sunday. What would you tell them?
So the first thing is pay no attention to the posted time for the start of the meeting. The meeting Sunday morning is at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. That's not when the meeting starts. The meeting starts when Coach Prime walks in the room, and you better be in the room long enough before him that you're settled and don't look like you just got there. So I'm recommending arrival at a minimum of 6:45 a.m. You want to be in that seat 15 minutes before the meeting starts because sometimes Coach Prime, well, first of all, he's always on time, which for him is early. And sometimes he gets real excited and he's even earlier than the early. So I've seen him walk into meetings, 10, 12, 15 minutes before the posted start time and handle people who come after that as if they were late. So first thing is be early, and you want to make sure that your phone does not ring. So the best place to leave it is outside of the room. I know guys who've sat in that room, whether it's Jackson State or Colorado, and they have a reminder set on their alarm that it's time to go to the team meeting. And because they got to the meeting early, the alarm went off in the meeting. You don't want what happens next. That ain't what you want.
Look, they had it all together, but just we're not thinking far enough ahead of time. All right, what about my earrings, my socks, what I got on? Like, what do I need to look like walking into that meeting?
Sure. Typically, the first one is not uniform as far as dress code, as far as uniformity, everybody dressed alike, because a lot of people just got off planes that night, and so you kind of come to the meeting dressed as you are, but dressed for a meeting. So you're not necessarily in your offensive, defensive clothes because there's no workouts or anything taking place after. But yes, no earrings, no caps, no phones, no food or drink. So all of that is still in place. So the best place to leave all that is just outside the room so you don't mistake it. But the players have grown to a point now, Charlie, where they kind of check each other. You'll see a guy look at another guy, hey, man, your earring. He's like, oh, man, thank you. There's so many things that you've been doing, during the strength and conditioning phase or doing at home because you're on a break right now, even for the players, that you just get accustomed to wearing this or that. But you don't want to do it on day one of that team meeting because you will be not only checked, you will be dismissed.
How many people have said, hey, Neely, the food?
Hey, that's a good one, Tyler. Tyler, it's like a good sparring match, a good boxing match. Whenever you get caught with a good one, you're supposed to look at your opponent and smile and act like he didn't get you. But the ones you smile are the ones that really did get you. So that's why I'm smiling. Tyler, that was a good one. That was a good shot. I like that.
You talk about boxing. Just real quick, let's get off subject. I don't want Mike Tyson to fight this Paul dude, man. I don't. I want to remember Mike Tyson how we remembered him for the most part. Should he get in the ring with is it Jake? One of the Paul brothers. I can't get them straight.
Yeah, I think it's Jake Paul. Now I tell you this, it's one of those things that has the appearance that Iron Mike is not taking all that serious, but Jake Paul clearly is. He just beat a UFC fighter the other day. I can't pocket watch, man, and balance another guy's book. So Mike, get your money. No matter what happens, your legacy as Iron Mike in my eyes doesn't change because this is like Thunder Lips in Rocky fight. This don't count. So we'll see. We'll see. But I don't have a problem with Mike doing it. I just don't want him doing a bunch of them because I think Jake Paul is serious about his boxing. But these guys he's fighting exhibition-wise, they just getting the check and moving on. But I think he's going to try to box Mike Tyson.
Yeah, yeah. Look, at first it was easy to say, it's just a gimmick. But he has been whipping ass, Neely. That is, you cannot deny that he's been doing that against some legitimate people, at least if you ran into him on the street. All right,
Yeah.
let's get back to Colorado here. What type of energy heading into year two in this first team meeting? What type of energy are you anticipating from the head coach, Deion Sanders?
It's going to be up. It's going to be up, not just with him, but also with the coordinators and assistant coaches and the players as well. Spring is behind us, and you had tough workouts. February and March going into the spring game. You take a little break, then you come back for summer one and summer two. Both of those are now in the books. And this is now what all of that was for. So you can show up in the best shape of your life for the 3.5 to 4 weeks of fall camp, as it's called, to get ready. So everything you're doing now, you're supposed to be ready to do from a conditioning standpoint. So your energy should be high. The focus is North Dakota State week one, which takes place 20-something days from that first team meeting. You do not have a lot of time. NCAA, I think, allows about 25 practices before your first game. So those go by pretty fast. And then it's time to play that week one opponent and then get ready for the week two opponent. So I expect energy to be high. It's going to crescendo up. You don't want to just, be at the top like you're coming out the tunnel for a game. But the guys and the coaches are going to be excited because now football is truly here. Because you get back, team meeting, have that first practice. About a week later, get to put pads on. And then that's when it really starts.
What are the stakes from your vantage point for this season?
The stakes are just as high as they were last year or any year that Coach Prime is the head coach, because the eyes of the nation are truly going to be on the program. And so you want to make sure that you start hot, just like you did last year. But what you got to what you have to do this year that you didn't do last year is keep going. So I expect if this team is coming out the gate with 1, 2, and 3 wins, in succession, that you're going to still have those naysayers out there to say, well, this is exactly what happened last year. So you're going to have to get, into that week 5 and week 6 and getting wins before the world really wakes up and starts saying, well, maybe I believe now. Because we come out with North Dakota State, then you got Colorado State and Nebraska in one order or another. And these are teams that you beat last year, except for North Dakota State. You did not play them. So when the record kind of marries or matches what it did a year ago, you're going to still have people saying, well, let me know when you get over 4 wins. Let me know when you get 5 and 6 wins. So I think this team is going to just be focused on that 1 week at a time, go 1-0 each week, because the stakes are getting Miss Peggy to a bowl game and making yourself eligible for the Big 12 championship in Texas. And if you win that, you're in the playoffs.
All right, let's just nearly randomly pick a position group here. Running back, the running back room. What will you be watching? How will you kind of focus in on them and some of the key things you'll be looking for in those first handful of games?
I've been excited about this room from the spring through summer 1 and summer 2, and I tell you why. You remember, Tyler, that room was decimated right up to the spring game. You had a mass exodus of running backs leaving Colorado, and then you had some talent coming in. Well, all that talent is here now, and that talent overall is an upgrade from what you had. So I'm looking for this running back by committee, if you will, and when the pads get put on, who can get tackled and get right back up and want to run the ball again? And then what situations do these backs really have individual talent that's showcased in? Because you're going to have situational downs. You're going to have opportunities where you want a running back that can catch better, one that can hit the middle of the hole better. So what I'm looking for from that room is the diversity of it and identifying what skill set each particular back brings, because much like the O-line, I think it's going to change in and out, not just over the season. I think you're going to have multiple personnel groups even during a game.
All right, there's been no shortage of conversation around Deion Sanders, even though we have not, and that's par for the course, right? That's just life. We haven't had any football per se to talk about, but there have been rampant speculation, and it's been that way since the first day he walked in at Jackson State, of what's next. Where is next? Neely, the one thing I find interesting in this conversation online is our guy, Paul Feinbaum, last week said Deion Sanders was irrelevant. And now he is changed his tune to say, you know what? I think he would be a good fit at the University of Southern California, USC. He's the man for the job. Neely, are they just trolling us out there? What's going on? How do you go from irrelevant to prime time and prime time in some people's opinion?
Well, Coach Prime in Los Angeles and Hollywood, that would be something to behold because we know he's a marketing and branding genius. And certainly movies are in his future. Movies going to be made about this program from his Jackson State days all the way to when he does win a national championship as the first black head coach. Having said that, I think what Feinbaum is doing is just trying to distance Coach Prime as much as he can from his backyard and bread and butter, the SEC. So, you talk about him being irrelevant in the Big 12 because you want the SEC where your contacts and your database and Rolodex are strong. And now you're trying to push him all the way out to the West Coast. So it just seems that, Feinbaum doesn't want any competition for the SEC as far as pursuing a national championship or any SEC school to be interested in Coach Prime. But I tell you what is definitely going to happen. Coach Prime is happy at Colorado. He wants to win a national championship at Colorado. He loves the community and the environment there, and that's not just the school. That's the surrounding areas as well. But what happens when you win and win at that level, the phone does ring. And if we are anywhere successful as we can be and should be, there are going to be phone calls and innuendos and rumors at the end of this season, just like they were in his successful Jackson State seasons.
Well, just for Paul Feinbaum, people are also making connections to the other USC, South Carolina, in the SEC. So Paul, don't sleep too well tonight if you're so worried about Coach Sanders. Another thing that was a topic of conversation a few days ago, apparently Coach Prime got a bonus paid in his contract through the first year. And people, I think it was $250,000. I think that's what I read. And, of course, the internet being the internet, oh, he didn't win any games. Why should he get a bonus? And more common sense approach. Did you see how Colorado skyrocketed? Any bonus was not enough, no matter how much they gave him. I tend to fall on, hey, if you can bring more exposure to my business, increase enrollment, and make us nationally relevant where we had become dormant, yes, sir, here is your bonus, thank you. Anything else I can get for you today, sir?
Man, absolutely. I think $250,000 bonus is a savings for what he brought into the university and to the community. When he was here at Jackson State, I was trying to push a narrative amongst the business community, the hotels, the restaurants, the mom and pop gas stations, you name it, that, man, when you go out to eat, you tip a bad waitress 10%. Look at everybody's boom in business since he's gotten here. Let's put some money to the side, whether it's for NIL or for just the programmatic purposes, to let him know how much he's loved and appreciated, because everybody makes more money when Deion Sanders is around. And the more you can share with that, the more you create an environment where he would be more likely to stay around. You and I have talked about this before on this program. When he was first picked by the Atlanta Falcons and getting ready to become a free agent, Atlanta Falcons didn't even try to keep him. They just assumed we can't afford him, he's going to leave, and that's just what happened. I think communities, when it comes to coaches, that bring so much to that town, to that school, from exposure to business, that you have to do more than what's on paper. Or else they do look to see what's going on in the nation where they may be better appreciated and better compensated. So when you look at the number of hotels that were sold out, the increase in rates at those hotels, the restaurants, that were lines outside of the buildings on game day, something that hadn't happened in Boulder in 10 years, he surely deserves $250,000 or more, regardless of what the football record is.
Neely, I say this all the time. I still don't believe that people give a proper respect to the financial impact, the micro economy that is growing into a macro economy, if you will, around Coach Sanders and wherever he goes. It just, the tired cliche, if it's a bay, he brings in the water and all boats rise. Like, you can guarantee that. No one can guarantee how many games are we going to win. Are we going to win a national championship? You aim for that, but you can always guarantee, from what we've known to be true over the entirety of his career, when he comes, baby, here comes the money.
Yeah, I'm going into my, as you know, fifth football season working with Coach Prime. And, that has gone by just fast, but you get to learn so much in those different seasons, particularly with the different environments, different administrators and that type. And Tyler, we can look at whether the pregame show when it was based at Jackson State, HBCU Game Day, or other HBCU outlets, and the exponential growth that they had during the time that Coach Prime was there. And you've had people who have been able to, whereas that exponential growth may not have continued, they didn't lose anybody because they were able to keep the audience that they had gained because of him. There are so many folks on different business levels that have been able to accomplish things that they wouldn't have been able to accomplish without him being in that sphere of influence. And if you don't think that that deserves a pat on the back and a handshake with a check in it, I don't know what to tell you about capitalism and the economy. That's just how
he's a force multiplier. It just falls off of him. It's not even like, oh, let me go spend some time specifically with this person. Let me endorse what they're doing. No, he just needs to be in the room. And you just need to kind of be in the vicinity. You don't even have to be in the room, just kind of be in the vicinity.
It's that simple. He talks about when the spotlight is on him, and if you're near him, the light is going to get on you. Be prepared for it because it will show your blemishes, your warts, but it's also going to accentuate everything good going about you. That's the same thing from an economic standpoint. Why some coffee shop, hasn't added a 21-ounce beverage, I don't know. Why some steak shop or hamburger place haven't offered a 21-ounce burger, I don't know. But these things are open to you when he's in your environment, and you can really literally cash in because of the presence of Deion Sanders. And I know that there are people who hate that or don't want to talk about it or act like that ain't special. It's not too many people that can uplift or, as he likes to put it, change the temperature of a place just by walking in. And he certainly changes the economic temperature of a place. And I think anyone that benefits should share that benefit back with him.
Hard to argue. I think Neely would be partial to 21 wangs. Give me 21 wangs, please.
Well, I had some wings yesterday and just happened to have some leftovers. I had 6 for breakfast this morning.
Good God. How many wings did you start with? If you had 6 for breakfast, what was the order?
Oh, the order was 16. I knocked out 10 of them and saved 6 for the day.
Okay. All right. Yeah. 16. Okay. All right. I can go there.
Neely, it's really not a big order when you come to wings.
No, not at all. You talk about things that I'm just looking online. I'm looking at some of the videos, some of the content. You put out so much stuff here on the Pregame Show Network. And I see Neely is unboxing gifts from fans. You have a whole segment where you're just unboxing things that people send to you. So I thought we could have a segment here where I unbox some things that people have sent to me. Okay, Miles, come on. No, Miles, let's go here. Let's go here, Miles. Let's get the big, okay. All right, things that people have sent to me, Neely. Not a damn thing, Neely. What in the world? Neely.
Oh man, you reeled me in. I really thought he was about to hand you a box or something.
Nothing. Neely, what is the magic touch, brother? Did you just get stuff in the mail? Like, what's going on here?
Tolly, back in our day, I know you shave and I don't, but we both a little gray, a little long in the tooth, as the old folks say. Back in our day, they called it charisma. Nowadays, they call it Riz. You either got Riz or you don't, man. And, your Riz meter is picking up. You're getting there. So I would expect that this season, you're probably going to get some stuff in the mail that you weren't expecting because somebody just loves, Tolly and what he does on the pregame show network and wanted to send them something. But it's all a Riz factor, Tolly. Get your Riz up and your gifts go up.
You got cigars. You had whiskey glasses. What else did you get?
Man, hoodies. Love when we get clothing. I tell anybody out there, I don't Gucci got enough money. They don't need me. But anybody out there, man, that's trying to start their own brand and want the pregame show to rock it, man, send it. So it really is just mutual love both ways to the audience and the audience back to us. So people, have products and things they want us to try and have discussions about. Man, I'm all for it. So Uncle Neely loves when you get some gifts. And if your gifts are right, we're going to make sure we show them and promote you.
All right, let me extend my jealousy as I continue to rant here. Our other brother from the big boys, Coach Carl Reed, He's on the boat fishing with Coach Prime. They're just out there having a fishing contest, hauling them in. And I'm like, I hang out with Neely. I hang out with Coach Reed a little bit. But you boys are just on a different level. I guess it goes back to what you said, Neely. I got to work on my riz here, man.
I got to tell you this, Tolly, and to the audience out there, Tolly and I have not discussed this off the air. This is organic. So Coach Prime called me up on a Thursday, and he invited me to come to Country Prime on Monday. And that Monday is the day you're talking about with the fishing. And it's Saturday morning came, and I said, you know what? I should call Tolly and see if he wants to go. I know it's short notice, but it was short notice for both of us. And then Saturday afternoon came, and I realized I wasn't going to be able to make it. So I said, you know what? Man, I ain't sending Tolly without me. Damn, Tolly. So I ain't even tell you about it.
Yo, this is how brothers operate. I mean, brothers from another mother. This is how we get down, man. It's like, hey, he good, but if I ain't there, nah, forget about it.
I ain't going, nobody goes. So. Shout out to Coach Prime and Coach Reed, and Pastor E. Dewey Smith was there. They caught the fish I was unable to catch because I couldn't make it. Had some grandfather duty to come up, and because of that, the next domino didn't fall. So, now that didn't explain why Coach Reed didn't call you. I'm explaining why I didn't call you. So next episode of the Big Boys,
I can tell you exactly what we're going to talk about on the next episode of the Big Boys for sure. Neely, let me tell you this, man. I wouldn't have been able to make it anyway because I drove my daughter to go stay with my mom for the week. So I drove from Atlanta to Raleigh yesterday. It's probably 365 miles one way, so about 700 miles round trip. Did it down and back. And so I was catching up on some Club Shay Shay, and I listened to the episode with him and Cam Newton. I don't know if you caught that episode, Neely, but it reminded me of our conversation last week about how media is changing and how access can get you onto bigger platforms and bigger reach. And we talked about the possibilities of as Coach Prime, as he grows and there's potential more people to follow in his footsteps and who they give access to and how that can have a ripple effect. But I was just listening and I was like, man, I would listen to Shannon Sharp and Cam Newton doing a game in a Manning cast type style, and that would be like so perfect because I just enjoyed that authentic conversation they were having. Not every subject and verb agreed. Some words were fabulous words, and they were totally used wrong. But it sounded literally like the conversations I had with my barber every week. I'm like, all right, cuz, I get what you're saying. That didn't come out quite right, according to Webster. But I understood exactly what you meant, and it made it better because it made it authentic. It didn't sound rehearsed and overly polished. Neely, can we get to that point where there is just authentic media, authentic, I don't even know if journalism will be a part of the equation, but will that type of experience become a normal thing as we continue to go on?
We got to measure this from two different ends of the ruler or look at it through two different lenses. We can go telescopic, we can go microscopic. Here's where the challenges and or opportunities lie. Tolly, I can remember when I was working in community development here in Jackson, Mississippi, the first time I did a live broadcast with the local NBC affiliate, they pulled up a van to the office. They raised a telescopic antenna at the top of that van, and they interviewed me for the first 3 minutes of the 6 o'clock news. They had to be there, almost 2 hours early to do something that took 5 minutes and took literally $1 million worth of equipment to pull off. Now you can pull a phone out of your pocket that costs $200 and go live to the world. So we have to measure if being on their platforms is more important than being on our own platform, because you can reach the same audience without somebody's permission. And so whereas I think you're spot on that the media game is going to change, it's certainly going to change because you don't need anybody's permission to stream. Shannon may sit on an ESPN dais and need ESPN, ABC, Disney's permission to do that, agreement to do that. What he does on YouTube with Club Shay Shay or with Ocho Cinco After Dark, that's just pushing a button out of phone out your back pocket. And he probably gets just as many views that night than he did that day. And so we were once in a media space where you had to send out a press release and hope somebody came to your press conference and then hope that they edited the right parts of it to get your message out. Now you can do all that yourself. And you look at Tolly in the sports game, how many athletes, active athletes who are currently playing their sport, who 10, 20 years ago had to have an ally in the press to make sure their narrative was framed right. Well, now they got their own podcast and they may go live on their own podcast right after the game and tell the story themselves. So the game is going to change. It's going to start to look more and more like you and I look because that's who the athletes are. Those athletes are going to start becoming more and more head coaches, coordinators, general managers, and hopefully one day owners. And so you're going to see a space begin to be carved out and grow from a segment of the media space or a broader community that never had a voice before. And they never had a voice because they never had a chance. But through cell phones, smartphones, internet connectivity, everybody has a chance.
Man, the conversation was so good, and Cam Newton and I was a big Cam Newton fan because I lived in North Carolina majority of my life and the majority of the time that he was the quarterback for the Panthers. But he just told stories that Shannon Sharpe was able to get out of him and told them in a way to Shannon that as the audience, we're just kind of like the peeping Tom listening in on the conversation. Like that conversation wouldn't have hit the same with Adam Schefter. And no disrespect to Adam Schefter, but it just would have sounded different, and we wouldn't have got the elements of that conversation and the meaning and the nuance of that story. And I just thought, man, this sign me up. This is, I'm enjoying this so much better.
Yeah, chemistry matters, and you can't fake it. And no matter how much money you attach to it, you can't fake it, even if you're getting paid to fake it. It's going to show its beautiful hand or its ugly hand. I still don't think, Tolly, people understand or appreciate how many times you and I have actually been in the same place at the same time over the 4 years that we've been working together. But what happens is not a matter of proximity or a 24-year relationship. It's about the chemistry and the common interest. I remember when I first started working with Coach Prime, and I'm talking about in an in-depth inside standpoint, he asked me, he said, Neely, do you know who Ahmad Rashad is? I said, certainly. He said, you probably don't remember any football highlights. What do you remember about it? I said, he was the guy who could get interviews with Jordan. He said, that's exactly right. He said, and that's how you could position yourself with this access thing. You can get things because you can get to things other people can't get. And so when you see Shannon talking to a Cam is answering in a circle of trust because he knows the follow-up question is not going to be a I got you moment. The first question is not a setup moment, that is just two brothers sincerely talking who have each other's best interests at heart. And so it's the same thing, rewinding, when you look at the relationship that a Feinbaum has established with SEC coaches. It is a position of trust, and they know if I tell you this, that you'll say that and not tell you everything I told. Now that brothers are starting to get in that space, you're only going to see it grow more and more because, frankly, the players look like we do. The coaches are beginning to look like we do. The access is going to begin to look like we look, and it's going to be a game changer.
And here's the funny thing, Neely, Shannon and Cam were able to talk about all the controversial stuff. It's not like it was I'm just going to carry water for you, but the answers I got, I was like, I never knew that's how it went down, or I didn't know that's what happened with the supposed, payoff at Auburn. I didn't know that his daddy just fell on the sword for him to try to make it go away, and it really, but in that space, I was like, oh, man, yeah. That was good. Neely, as I was cruising along, I'm listening to all this stuff in a minivan. Neely, your boy rented a minivan, and I have to admit, I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. I've always been anti-minivan, but I kind of liked it.
Minivans are pretty cool, man. One, like when you got to discipline your kids, you can stand up in them and whoop a little ass, and some you can't. You got to reach back in the car in the minivan. You can stand up. It's. You remember back in the NWA when West Coast rappers emerging? They were in the black Astro minivans with rims, man. Minivans. This ain't your mama's minivans no more, man. You can pull off a minivan. What you cannot pull off, though, Tyler, and I will not allow you to pull off. You can't pull off a station wagon with the paneling down the side, like the Griswolds had on vacation. That will never be good.
But that would give off such good retro vibes. It would bring you back to such a happy space and time in your life. At least you could spin the block a couple of times, Neely. Not an everyday driver, just a couple of times.
I'll rock a minivan. I'm not rocking the Griswold green station wagon with the paneling.
I will say this about that minivan, though, brother. It has more power under the hood than I ever anticipated. Because 700 miles on I-85. There's a couple times you got to get on around. You got to get past people. You got to hurry up, get out of the way of people. I thought it was going to just scoot along.
Were they just out of cars? What drove the minute? It's not like you were transporting 50 people to Raleigh.
There's some other family stuff that it was going to be beneficial just to kind of have it for the week. So I just pulled the trigger on it.
I'll allow it.
The kids love it. They're like, hey, forget this rental stuff, Daddy. You should really get one. Which brings me to my final point, Neely. I could do it, I would still feel comfortable and confident with a little bit of what you call it, Riz. Yeah, a little bit of Riz that it wouldn't affect my Rizziness. And it got me to thinking, Neely, you and I are roughly the same age, 50 plus. Is midlife crisis still a thing? Is that still a thing?
I don't know if it is. It probably happens earlier. We probably already made it through it. But I think, man, with technology and the access to individual happiness nowadays, I don't know if midlife crisis may be 60 or 65 now. It's certainly not 45 to 50 like it used to be. Or either I just ain't hit it yet. I haven't. I don't feel unhappy enough where I need to go buy a motorcycle. Or I'm good.
Yeah, I think if it came down to it right now, if I walked to the lot and everything was free and they said, all right, here's a sports car, you're just going to have to figure out your kids on your own time, and here's a minivan. And I don't have anything against sports cars. I'd love to selfishly have one, but I could go off the lot in the minivan and feel just as good about myself as I do right now.
I'll make this commitment to you, Tyler. Should you get a minivan in the next 12 months, I'm going to pay for your first year tag, and it's going to say Riz up on it.
All right. I
want to see you driving around ATL with RIZZUP on the tag in your minivan.
I'm that type of guy, man. I'm a little corny. I lean into the dad jokes. I could see that happening. I can see that happening. All right, let's get out of here on the bonus, Neely. You have picked on my hair for so long, brother. I'm trying to. The part you have picked on is the thinness that my bald fade that I've had forever. So I'm trying to go prove to myself and biology that my hair will indeed still grow. Get a little Russell Wilson curly thing going on here up top. You with it? Will it be suitable for the Pregame Show Network?
I'm with it, man. I love it. Little mini afro somewhere between brushing and combing. A little height to it where it can look like it got an S curl in it, but it didn't quite catch. So it's not a curl or a loop. It's just a fold. I like that for you, Tyler. I think the Riz. Here's what I think is going to happen, Tyler. I think if you grow that little mini Russell Wilson curly fro, I think you're going to get some gifts in the mail. I think your Riz will reach a level that the fans are going to be making shipments to the ATL.
Oh, I like it. It just organically came together. I am with it. All right, so Neely, the next time we talk to you, brother, you are going to be in Boulder, Colorado. Your excitement level, we're going to bring it full circle, take it home with some football here. How excited are you, man, to see these guys get back on the field and start practicing, first practice on Monday?
I am looking totally forward to it, Tyler, because it feels like and remind me of the transition of the COVID season at Jackson State, where Coach Prime said, you better get me now because you won't get me later. And now going into that first would have been fall season at Jackson State. So it feels like that year one at Colorado was to get to know your staff, get to know your personnel. You were able to increase a 1-11 team to 4-8. And now you have your infrastructure in place. You got the coaching staff you want. You got the talent around that you needed to bring in. I'm looking forward to seeing it all come together in the Big 12 and what noise Coach Prime Sanders can make it this Power 5 level, having 1 year behind him and truly immersed in his infrastructure and organization. So I'm excited about seeing it unfold 1 week at a time, go 1-0. But first, we got to get through fall camp and get through it without any injuries. I like our chances.
All right, it all goes down on Monday. Make sure you continue to keep it right where you have it. Stay tapped into the Pregame Show Network because inside access as fall camp unfolds in Boulder, Colorado, this is the place to be for you. So make sure you got your notifications, your subscription, everything's in check so you don't miss any of the information and content that we'll be bringing to you. All right, say goodbye to Jackson, Mississippi. The next time we see Neely, the wheels will have been up and the wheels will come back down. He'll be in Boulder and he'll be talking to us from fall camp. All right, he's Neely. I'm Tolly. This is my little curl. I'm going to jump in the minivan. We'll talk to you guys later.